on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
The time is 7:37. We really appreciate you joining in here on our program. It's O'Connor and Company. It's America's morning show. We're going to get you up and out of the house or just up and at it so you can better attack your day. And God knows we need all the help we can get these days. Coming up later in the program at 8:05, we're going to speak with the Attorney General of Utah as that state is joining Texas and other states down on the southern border. And at 8:35, Brent Bozell, Media Research Center, on that big tech hearing we saw yesterday. It's Larry O'Connor. Over there is Patrice Onwuka with a brand new glass of tea. That is a tall glass of tea you got.
It really is, in a Lakers cup, by the way.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if it's the Kobe Lakers or the Magic Johnson Lakers, maybe, but this new
they're all the same
Lakers,
to me. It's just my husband's cup.
Joining us right now is Chuck Thies, a D.C. political analyst. He's forgotten more about politics here in the District of Columbia than most people will ever know. And boy, can I just play this? It's the soundbite of all soundbites, Chuck. The Attorney General of the District of Columbia addressing the out-of-control crime issue here, and he says,
"We cannot prosecute and arrest our way out of it."
Well, that sound you hear are businesses shutting down and moving out of D.C. if that's the way they're going to address this, Chuck.
Well, aren't they already?
Yeah,
I mean, the wave of restaurant closures and the number of businesses, big businesses, Fannie Mae, many others, people with hundreds, if not thousands, of employees. The list, you said at the top of the show that I've forgotten more than most people know. Well, I'd like to forget all of these restaurants and businesses that have left the district and pretend that they haven't, because this is going to have a massive impact, not just on our tax base, but on daytime commerce. All these people that would come to work and buy a sandwich and park a car and use a dry cleaner and shop at a corner store, all the things that people do associated with coming to work every day won't happen.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's going to cause more problems because the fewer people you have on the streets, the fewer people who you have spending money, it means less jobs. And people without jobs can, sometimes turn to crime. It's going to mean fewer dollars for the government to fund things like social services that help to lower crime and policing. What it is it's an unperfect storm.
Yeah. Well, and Chuck, I mean, what a time to be talking about this when Muriel Bowser is desperately trying to keep the Washington Capitals here in D.C. She's trying to keep, the sports teams downtown in Chinatown when there is nothing going on. A lot of those restaurants have closed. Frankly, Capital One Arena is the only thing that's keeping the lights on in Chinatown right now. And so to have this like cavalier view on dealing with crime, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Let me tell you how cavalier and, if not reckless, this view on crime is. As we know, earlier in the week or over the weekend, there was a one lunatic crime spree that resulted in numerous carjackings. Police were fired on twice, and ultimately 2 individuals, including a former Trump administration official, were murdered in the process of being carjacked. I bring that up, A, because it's tragic, but B, because you mentioned prosecution. Well, the perpetrator of those offenses was arrested previously, and he was arrested because he had an interaction with police who were investigating a crime that he was not involved in. And while he had that interaction, he told the police to leave him alone or he would shoot them. And then he told them to take him seriously because he only needed to make one call and they would all be dead.
Wow.
Jeez.
The United States attorney, this was in 2021, the United States attorney not only lowered those charges, it's a felony to threaten to kill a police officer. He lowered those charges to a misdemeanor and ultimately dropped the charges. Yeah. This individual didn't see a day in court.
That U.S. attorney,
No one
by the way,
assessed
that's Matthew Graves, and he was at this hearing as well, and he was basically blaming judges. Hey, we bring him in there, but the judge lets him out. Something tells me he can be a little more proactive.
At the time, the U.S. attorney, just so we're clear, but Matthew Graves' office is derelict in prosecuting local criminals in the district. But at the time, the U.S. attorney wasn't Matthew Graves. It's a culture within that office. And
Okay,
Graves
sorry,
has
you said
not corrected it.
You said 2021. I thought that he had already taken over at that point. Maybe he wasn't.
No, he hadn't
confirmed
been
yet.
sworn in yet. But
Yeah.
but the point, really, Larry, and it's important that people understand this. It's a culture within that office. The U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. is the only U.S. Attorney's Office in the entire country that is responsible for prosecuting local crimes because of the district's unique place in the federal government. That's okay. That doesn't mean that they have to look at local crimes, though, as though they're just a nuisance and something that's tertiary on their list of priorities. And that's what they do. And so an individual who clearly should have at least been mandated by a court for psychiatric evaluation and probably punished for threatening to kill police and make calls and have them killed, instead was released from the system and now is now he's dead because police shot him. But he's a perpetrator who killed 2 innocent people.
Chuck, one of the sad realities of living in a free republic that uses democracy to choose our representatives is that those representatives, be them congressmen, senators, mayors, district council members, they will continue to do whatever they want to do until it hurts them politically. Have we reached the point now, Chuck, where there is a political price being paid for what we're seeing right now? Will anyone lose an election because of it? Or more importantly, will some enterprising politicians win some elections by saying enough is enough?
So this has been troubling to me in the district for quite some time. Good people seldom run for office. There's a couple examples of good people who have run for office, and good, I mean people with a spine of steel, because that's what it takes to stand up to the woke mob in this city. Brooke Pinto in Ward 2, who is spearheading efforts to improve public safety legislation in the district, she is running for re-election, and she will win on June 4th during the Democratic primary. The other offices that are up for re-election, I don't see anyone running on a law and order platform, and that's troubling. I advise candidates to run on a law and order platform because I think it's like a slam dunk to win. But there is something going on in the district, and where a politician may pay a political price. He's not on the ballot this year. His name is Charles Allen. He's the Ward 6 council member. He led the public safety committee that changed all the laws in the district that basically legalized crime and hamstrung the police.
Yeah.
There is a recall effort against Charles Allen. For people who are interested in information on it, it is recallcharlesallen.com, easy to spell, recallcharlesallen.com. I recommend to everyone that they go and check it out. Today, that committee will announce that in their very first fundraising report, that committee's only been around for a month, they have 375 donors, and they've raised more than $50,000.
Wow, that's huge.
Very good.
That's huge for an upstart grassroots kind of campaign. That's fantastic. Chuck, thank you. I appreciate you joining us. You got to get more regular here. In fact, we'd love to maybe even, I know it's hard to do, but I'd love to dedicate a whole show just to the issue of D.C. crime and D.C. politics at some point, especially as we get closer to the primary. Chuck, thanks for joining us.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Thanks, Chuck.
Wouldn't it be nice when the day comes when you don't even have to talk about crime in D.C.?
Yeah. Oh, that would be delightful. Chuck, thank you. Appreciate it. By the way, that Charles Allen who's getting recalled, the night of that shooting rampage, the next night, he had a public forum, and the subject of it was understanding carjacking.
As though we should, as though we need to accept it.
Yeah,
it's
you need to understand what's really at play here. No, we understand exactly what's going on here, Charles Allen. We don't need you to patronize and condescend to us to help us understand what the reality is. It's 7:45.